Does anyone have a lighter? Because I'm about to burn some bridges. Kick those alliances to the curb. Lucy Yak, a sustainable, inclusive clothing brand based in the UK. I was one of their target customers. In fact, I was one of their first customers. I bought a pair of their famous corduroy overalls over 10 years ago. Since then, the company has gone from strength to strength, but it has been a little bit of a bumpy road. And as somebody who is publicly panicking about the planet, and because I publicly talked about how I'd spent my own money on their clothes before, I was one of the creators that they approached to work with. So in the past, not only have I been a customer of Lucy Yak, but I have also been a public advocate for their clothing. Now, in the words of our Lord and Saviour, Robbie Williams, no regrets. However, I haven't been working with them for a little while, even at least a year, and that is kind of intentional, and that's what I wanted to talk about today. Now, in a world where the word sustainable is not regulated, any cowboy can use it. In fact, H&M love to do that shit. I believe that we need to be honest about the nuances of sustainability. And for me, one of the really important things about sustainability isn't just the fabric it's made out of, isn't just where it's made and how it's made. Organic cotton doesn't come in a plastic bag, etc., but how it wears. Because if we're making clothes at the rate that fast fashion is, and it expires and is soiled and cannot stand proximity to a human body for more than a year or two, then I don't believe that that is sustainable clothing. And what was amazing about some of the first pieces I got from Lucy Yak was how well they wore. That was one of the reasons I became a fan of the brand in the first place. And I recognize that I am in an incredibly unique, sometimes lucky, sometimes unlucky, we will discuss, position where I have tried a very unusual amount of their items at this point. They obviously added to my original collection substantially when I was working with them. As a necessity of working with them, I had to show the clothes. And now I find myself with a treasure trove of not only memories, but physical objects in my house, all with the brand Lucy Yak on them. And I have very mixed opinions about those items. And it is my subjective opinion of late that I feel like the quality has really changed with Lucy Yak as they have expanded. If you're watching this video, it means that you're probably kind of similar to me, which means you're also probably the target market for their clothes. And you may well be thinking, oh, I'd like to buy some Lucy Yak. What's worth my money? What is truly sustainable? And you're probably also on the secondhand websites, which I am all the time. And even when it comes to shopping secondhand with Lucy Yak items, people often are still pricing those items quite highly secondhand. So it is my prerogative, my priority to make sure that you know what you're buying and which items to buy secondhand, which ones will stand the test of time, which ones will arrive with you after being worn by somebody else and still have some life left in them to give. Some of the comments I'm going to make about these clothes are just personal preferences. You'll be able to tell. And some of them I think are objectively quality and design flaws. And there is a lot of good still. There are a lot of things that I would recommend buying from Lucy Yak, but there are a lot of things that now, as a frequent customer, I would personally avoid, especially now. And I'll even be giving you some pointers on how to spot the older Lucy Yak stuff, which I think is better quality, when you're shopping secondhand online. So without further ado, we have timestamps in the description. I'm going to go through so many different clothing categories, and right at the end we're going to dissect Lucy Yak as a business, where I think they're going right, where I think they're going wrong. Obviously with this video, it is incredibly likely that they will never work with me again, and that is okay. I still want to be friends, but I think in this age where fast fashion and sustainable fashion are starting to merge, what every brand needs is a critical friend. So that's what I aim to be today. This video is only possible because of the Gumption Club. It's only there because people tip me on Patreon to make sure these videos keep happening, and I don't derive the majority of my income from sponsorships, which is unusual for an influencer, and I don't want to take that for granted. In fact, that's one of the driving reasons I wanted to make this video. So if you're interested in honest, objective, non-sponsored opinions about brands, then please do subscribe. If you find my work helpful, and hopeful, I guess, you might want to consider joining the Gumption Club. I'll leave some links below to that. Shall we begin at the beginning with their original product, the one they first launched with, the original dungarees. I'm actually wearing a variation of the dungarees. The Lucy and Yak nerds are watching. I'm aware that these ones are slightly different because they have side pockets. But you will see original dungarees down there, but these are so close. Anyway, the reason I like the original dungarees is the following things. Firstly, I love these ties. They're very different from most other dungarees on the market because instead of having some hardware there that can break easily, jangle around in your washing machine, rust, all manner of things can go wrong with those things. This is just a tie. You simply just tie it, which I think looks really nice. You can also tie them in a bow, lots of different things, it's customizable. But also because if you have a fluctuating weight or you are, meet baby, you are having a bun in the oven, then this is ultimately incredibly retractable in a way that I don't think normal metal hardware dungarees or button sealed dungarees are. The fact, like how adjustable they are is insane, and that is something that I really love about the original Lucy and Yak dungarees. Not only that, but the design of them means that because there is one continuous seam from under the arm here down to your ankle, it's like very straight, that means that you can very easily take the sides in and out, therefore adjusting the sides even if you don't have very, very advanced sewing skills. It's one of the most easy sewing adjustments I have ever done, and I've documented doing it on this channel, not only to these, but also to these ones. Let me take these off so I can show you. If I turn these inside out, you should be able to see a long line going down the side of these dungarees, taking them in. And if I put on weight again, it would literally take me 2 minutes to rip these seams out and they would be bigger again. So the accordion effect that you can do with these dungarees makes them, to me, a really, really good investment. However, and of course there's a however, particularly with denim products and Lucy and Yak, I have come to notice in recent years that there is some real vulnerability in the sewing quality of these items, like no other kind of denim I have ever owned. For example, can you see this? It's bad. And I had a little rip here, and I, unlike the vast majority of people, am willing and able to darn things. So I darned the hole shut and 2 more massive holes appeared. Now this is definitely my size. I definitely don't do anything too crazy in these dungarees, but that is a huge failing them. You'll notice as well that these original Lucy and Yak dungarees have more pockets on them than you might see on the website. And that is because I added lots of them. Part of my sponsorships with Lucy and Yak, I would always try and encourage them to let me do upcycles instead of encouraging people to buy new, but still making like people aware of the brand. So these are all pockets of various sizes that I attached onto the dungarees myself. One's like pen sized. This one is specifically Kobo e-reader sized. This one was exactly the size of my headphones. So that's why they are the way they are. I do love these, but because of the perpetual ripping, these have been downgraded to my Bob the Builder dungarees. I just wear them around the house when I'm fixing things or painting things or in the garden, hence the massive grass stains on the knees. I think that this lack of quality is due to the stretch that they have added to the dungarees, but also the way it is sewn. Their cord dungarees used to last ages, and these ones have held up really, really well. These are probably the dungarees that are going to stay in my wardrobe the longest. They're great for just like really relaxing, being around the house. If you're somebody who works from home and wants to wear real clothes, but also doesn't want to feel that thing, like any elastic digging into them when they're sitting around, they are perfect. However, my other pair really bit the dust and again wore out in this area really, really fast, like too fast, I think, for how much you pay for them. But I was able to upcycle this one into a bag. Voila. Because the rest of it was still really good quality. So I think there's a tutorial on my channel somewhere. I just cut off the legs, put a pillowcase inside the bag and sewed up this seam. I added pockets, inside pockets, because I'm fancy, but you don't need to do that. And then turned it inside out again. So if you are somebody who has also suffered from this, that is one upcycling option, and it served me very, very well as a big grocery bag. And another upcycling option, if you have holes that are not in the crotch, but maybe it's stained or it's got holes elsewhere, is turning them into advent calendar dungarees. Because I'm incredibly normal. I added 24 patch pockets to these dungarees, and I wear them to Christmas parties, and I put little sweets in them and I give them to people. So that's an option too. The light ones are dyeable. I dyed these ones. These ones used to be a sky blue. Again, that's another pro with the cotton dungarees. They are easy and willing to absorb dye into them. But in general, I think from the original dungarees, I would not recommend the denim ones. I would only cautiously recommend the corduroy ones if you plan to just wear them around the house rather than out of the house. And I would also, sadly, caution against really brightly coloured ones, because while these ones have held up really, really well, because these are the old style ones. I got these, I moved in these from London. I must have got these in like 2018 or something. That crotch is still fine, discuss, and loads of parts of it are good, but the colour doesn't hold up in the wash very well after a while. So these are looking pretty tired. However, let's be honest, I will probably continue to wear them until they are mere wisps on my body and I almost get arrested for public nudity. There is one other style of dungarees I want to talk about before we move on. These are the Eastern dungarees, similar to the originals in that they still have the ties on the side and the big front patch pocket, but they have buttons up at the side. They have a waist, they have belt loops, and they have big, very nice, generous jeans style front pockets and big back pockets. The originals don't have back pockets. I would never have tried these if I hadn't been doing a partnership with Lucy Yak, but I'm really glad I did because I prefer these so much more. They are less size adjustable, so annoyingly, they only just about fit me right now, but like if I tried to touch my toes, that's not happening. So if you're somebody who fluctuates in size a lot, I would tread with caution with these, but they are much thicker, more sturdy denim. You feel really held by them. They have not worn in the crotch at all, and I have worn these to death as well. And overall, they just feel really, really well made compared to a lot of the originals I have tried. So if I was just gonna buy one pair of dungarees again from Lucy Yak, I would probably go for these. Even though they have like less give, they're less adjustable. I just feel like quality-wise, these ones I know will be in my life for as long as I want them to be in my life rather than them leaving me. You know, I want to leave the clothes. I don't want to be left. Maybe that's an issue for me and my therapist. Next, we're now discussing jeans. These are the Addison jeans, probably their most famous cut. I would say they're the most distinctive cut. They're the jeans that when I see other people in public, I'm like, yeah, they're wearing Lucy Yak Addisons. I can just tell from a distance. These are my oldest pair. I believe I got them in 2018. Unlike most other size inclusive jeans, they have these pleats at the front, traditionally more put into formal trousers, but incredibly useful if you carry a lot of your weight here, like a shit ton of the population do. And that is why I fell in love with this cut initially. I just really liked how comfortable they were and how much accommodation they had for butt or belly while still feeling somehow fitted. I don't know how it works, but I just love it. These notably are their originals, which means that the colour is still really bright. It means that the pockets inside haven't ripped. The crotch is still incredibly intact despite a lot of thunder thigh dancing action going on, and frankly, I love them. I have them in purple as well, which look like this in a smaller size. These weren't their original colour. They were actually slightly lighter when I bought them. I believe they were called plum, but that colour started to fade a little bit patchily, and also I got some stains on it. So I just got some Dylon dye, like in a pod that you can whack in your washing machine, and I did one rinse of like a slightly darker purple. They came out like this, and I've been very happy with them ever since. I've spent many a long happy day wearing these and being incredibly comfortable, and apart from maybe like wishing that I hadn't bought them in such a light colour, you won't find any regrets from me. I think these are brilliant. However, and you knew there was a however coming, didn't you? When I started working with Lucy Yak, they sent me my first pair of Addisons for free. And I was like, yeah, I'm balling. I'm getting Allison jeans for free. And not only that, but they've added some elastic in the sides so that this waistband is slightly, I wouldn't call it adjustable, but it has a bit more ease in it. Now, I still love these jeans, and if you can get hold of them, I do think they are a really good investment. But two things about the quality I will note, because nothing escapes my notice, my friends. The waistband in the old ones is really sturdy. It's one of the reasons these jeans still have a nice amount of shape and you still feel very held, even though they are much looser on the hips. They don't droop. It's not just like falling down, but like the structure stays in place, so this part still ends up looking really nice because this is stiff. Do you see what I mean? Not in the new ones. This waistband is noticeably, is it actually shorter as well? No, I think it's the same length. Noticeably more droopy. I don't think it's been enforced in the same way. It hasn't worn as well. And cardinal sins of sins, the fabric used for the pockets is so shit. I've already sewn the pockets once and now I've just tied it shut. So this is kind of basically a non-functional pocket now because I haven't been bothered to go back and mend it again. But the inside fabric on these is so flimsy, like you can see my hand through it. And there's another hole has appeared. I find that incredibly frustrating because it seems like a really obvious, like I don't know how much money they would have saved by buying cheaper fabric for the inside of the pockets, but I know they've been charging more for the jeans since I bought these, even with inflation taken into consideration. So the fact they cheaped out on the fabric on the inside of the pockets, which is a really annoying place to mend stuff as well, just really peed me off. So while I love these jeans and they are one of the most worn items in my wardrobe, if I was to have to buy them again because somebody stole them from me, I would go on Vinted or eBay and I'd try and find this style without this elastic, because while I was excited about this design innovation of putting a tiny bit of elastic in the waistband, I don't think that it adds enough give to make it like life-changing, and what we have lost in quality cannot be denied. For purposes of thoroughness, I'll show you this pair of jeans as well that I have. This is in a kind of nautical pinstripe. I bought these secondhand and I purposely looked for ones without the elastic in the waistband so that I knew they would be quality. And this is what these look like. Again, oh, I've got something in the pocket. What have we got here? Oh, a receipt for some yarn. Delightful. This is what they look like. I enjoy them. However, another personal gripe of mine is knowing that you make trousers that people are going to roll up, but using fabric that is just like white on one side. They do it quite a lot with the leopard print. And again, if I was being really nitpicky, this is just a personal preference, I would prefer the underside of the fabric to be dark, because while they do a petite cut, it's not that petite and I still need to roll them up. So that is again something that if I was a fashion designer, I would make sure that if my clothes weren't lined, then the other side of the fabric would look good when rolled up. A lot of people roll them up on their arms as well if it's denim. I'll show you on a jacket later. But yeah, that's just a personal gripe. However, I have one other style of jeans to show you. These are the Cole jeans. And again, these are ones that I wouldn't have tried had I not been like purposely trying to pick stuff to make these collaborations with Lucy and Yak. These are slightly lighter weight jeans. They're much wider in the leg. They definitely make me feel like I'm in my Avril Lavigne era. They only have one pleat at the front and they have big patch pockets at the back. For some reason, I like the feel of these much more. Like I said, they still give you a little bit more room here in the belly, and I don't really have any rational reason for why I like the feel of them more than the Addisons, but for some reason, they just feel closer to me to wearing culottes or a maxi skirt or something that I feel like when I've got more fabric around my ankles, I just feel more me. And I don't know what that is. But again, a personal preference is that I really love the Coles, and if I was going to buy another pair of jeans, which I think we can all see of Lucy and Yak ones I don't need to do, then these would probably be the ones. However, there's still a freaking rip in the pockets, isn't there? I'll get around to fixing that soon. God's sake. But yes, when it comes to the quality and the crotch, I have had no issues. The jumpsuits, however, this is actually really hilarious and has kept me honest, because I was vlogging the week that I ripped this jumpsuit in particular, and I was on the way to a very fancy party thing. I had to traipse around 3 different pharmacies to find a sewing kit, sit naked on a very dirty pub toilet and sew them myself for 45 minutes so that I could tend this party without showing everybody my knickers. It has ripped again, but I think that might be my sewing skills whilst under the stress of being naked in public. So we shan't be passing any judgment here. However, I wouldn't recommend the jumpsuits for that reason. I am not the only person to have had that experience. It's actually been an anecdotal thing that several of you have shared with me since I shared this design issue with the dungarees. The seams on the side are very, very flimsy, it feels like. And also the sizing seems to be a little bit weird. For me, it's fine, but for most people, this is a very short distance. If you think about it, right, with jumpsuits, you can make things as elastic as you like in the back or in the sides, but the real unmovable measurement is the line of fabric that goes from your shoulder to your crotch. And that is a different measurement on everybody, but it would seem that these are cut for people with shorter distances between their crotch and their shoulders. Measure yourself at home for fun. But again, that's something to take into consideration when you buy these. I've had lots of friends that have had them and had to return them because that is a very hard measurement to get right on everybody. And it seems like the way these have been sized means that it's a long shot as to whether it will fit. However, I went up a size and I really missed these overalls. So I got them in a larger size so I could wear them. Let's see if this fits me. Bit of public humiliation. I don't know if this is gonna fit right now. They don't fit right now. It's fine, it's fine. Anyway, the point is I have them in 2 sizes and I've noticed between the sizes that there is a real variation in the thickness of the denim. I don't know why that is, but the first pair is much thinner than the second pair, and they are also slightly different colours, and not in a way that I just think these ones have been washed more. Like they're genuinely like different washes. And I don't know why that is, but again, these are the kinds of doubts that were being planted in my head. And I was just like, I don't know if I want to keep working with Lucy Yak. Even though I like them, I like a lot of the clothes, I was just like, these are the kind of inconsistencies I don't know if I can get behind. Anyway, this is what these would look like on me if they fitted right now. Here are some pictures of them actually fitting. And I do really like the cut of the legs. They have like a slightly lighter leg, and they do them in petite as well, which I really appreciate as a petite lady. But yes, I have one more pair of the jumpsuit to show you. They did like a digital collection a while ago and they sent me a jumpsuit for that, which I love the fabric of. It's like rainbow and cool and cotton. However, I did email them when I got the jumpsuit because I don't know if it's gonna overwhelm the camera to get this close, but when the fabric comes new to you, it looks really weathered, and not in an intentional way, in my opinion, a quality fault kind of way. There is like a slight sheen of white rubbing or like excess fabric that's sitting on top of the colour that makes it look really, really worn. And that didn't show up in the digital pictures on the website, which I think I pointed out. And I was just like, have I got a dud or are they all like this? And they were basically like, they're all like that. And I was like, okay. So again, not one that I shouted about incredibly loudly. I don't think I included this in my post about working with them because I was a bit like, while I'm gonna wear this and use it, I am also a bit like, I don't know if I want to actively promote this jumpsuit because of that. I still think it's totally wearable. It just looks that I have had it for like 4 years and I haven't really worn it that much because it stopped fitting me after a little while. Anyway, I love the fabric. I do keep a bit of a varied wardrobe because my weight fluctuates a lot, so I'm hoping to one day be able to wear this again, but who knows. But that is something to flag with the quality. I don't know if you can see it like there, look. I get that the fabric is supposed to look acidic and distressed, but I don't think it's supposed to have this bobble. It came bobbly, essentially. It came out the packet bobbly. Ah! Speaking of moans, while we're getting it out there, let's talk about underwear. Actually, let's put some trousers on that fit me so I can breathe. Hold on. Okay, that's better. Underwear. Why? I actually dropped out of an underwear campaign that they wanted me to do with them and shout about their underwear because they sent it to me and I washed it once and I was not a happy bunny. And I was like, you can include me in the next round of promotions. If you want me to promote upcycling or the dungarees again or the jeans, I'll be fine, but I will be dropping out of this underwear sponsorship because this was actually probably my most frustrating moment with them over like the 2-year period that we were working together. These are unisex boxers. Now, I think there is a difference between gender inclusive underwear and unisex underwear. I would call this gender inclusive underwear in that they have pictures of loads of different people wearing them on the website. They are, I would say, a more delicate shaped take on the masculine boxer. But how do I put this delicately? There's no room for a penis. I got a pair for me and a pair for Craig because I was like, we can have the same underwear. That's so cute. There's no room for a penis in these underwear. In fact, and I have it on a good report, it is incredibly uncomfortable for penis owners to be wearing these. So I would not call that unisex. Again, I would call it gender inclusive, maybe. The next problem was, as soon as I washed them once on a cold cycle, can we see that bubbling? Can we appreciate that this is a spoiler alert for later, but this is the same print and the same color as what these should be. And they came like this. And after one wash, they look like that. There was a bra that came with these as well, and the same thing happened with the bra. And I know that the bra and the pants probably weren't like logistically made in the same batch. So I kind of emailed them and I was like, yo, this is not on, like what has happened? They didn't seem that worried, and that's what worried me when I told them. They said it was like a dud batch and they could send me out some more. They ended up sending me out some other underwear in the same fabric but a different print, but the same thing happened when I washed them. Not quite as badly as these, but not good either. I think this is one of the issues when you are a content creator who is in a contract with a brand. You can go into the contract feeling like you've tried some of their clothes and been like happy with them, but there's no real opportunity for you to try everything they've ever made. So you are kind of going off the information that you have. And once you're working with them, you are in a contract. So while you're in that contract, you're not really supposed to speak badly about them. So I was already in this contract where I was like, oh, actually, I don't recommend the underwear. And while I'm never explicitly going to recommend the underwear, I know by design, by recommending the brand, some people might go on to buy the underwear, and I can't explicitly tell them not to right now, but I'm absolving myself now, I hope. Anyway, some good things about this underwear is that it is really reinforced in the crotch. Like, I believe that this underwear is going to last a really, really long time. And it's also weirdly lined. It's double layers the whole way through, which makes it incredibly hard to dry. And if you don't tumble dry your stuff, which you're not supposed to tumble dry this, you're supposed to air dry it, it takes forever, but that does make them incredibly warm and incredibly sturdy. So they have that on their side, but this was definitely one of the breaking points where I was just like, this isn't normal. That is worse than fast fashion quality, in my opinion. And because I tried it with 2 different types of bra in 2 different prints and 2 different types of underwear, I had to assume that it was a consistently bad thing that was happening with their underwear, not just a one-off or a bad batch. I'm gonna do one more grumpy category and then we can move on to the good categories, okay? Their tops. They sent me some of their tops. I wore some of their tops. They said they were really stretchy and they could be worn without a bra for some people, and I did find that to be true. I had a green one and an orange one, and for a few weeks, while I was shooting content for them, I had every reason to believe that they were right, that they were supportive, like thick, high quality items. However, on their 4th wash, I really started feeling a difference in the elasticity. I don't know what it was or what moment it hit in the washing machine where it was like, I'm no longer going to play ball, because as I said, I always wash my clothes on like very low heat and I don't tumble dry them, so there's usually no reason for the elasticity in clothes to go down like that badly. But they just became like incredibly unsupportive, incredibly stretched out, and they just really, really lost their shape. I have now since upcycled them, I believe. I think they are in one of my cushions in little tiny bits. I think I sat in front of a film and just like snipped them up. So they haven't gone into landfill, but only because I'm a pernickety little bitch and I don't want to throw anything away. However, weirdly, they were the crop tank tops with the kind of rounded lower neckline. At the same time, in the same breath, they sent me one of these tank tops, which are high neckline and seem to me very similar fabric. However, this tank top is a workhorse, and this is what is so confusing to me. I hope this is like a good example of like why I have been confused about whether to make this video or not, but I love this tank top. It's 40% organic cotton and then 48% lensing viscose and 3% elastane, and whatever that magic composition is, means that this is genuinely a top you can wear without a bra and still feel vaguely supported. I know the big boob owners will look skeptically at me and I'll say, okay, I am like an E, and I think that it would probably work between an A and an E and no further than that probably, but it is really supportive. Not only that, but it has stayed relatively cream, seeing as I'm somebody who spills a lot of stuff. I don't wash this with similar colours, I'll be honest. This is going in with my black jeans and it's just still really good quality. It hasn't rubbed at all, it hasn't lost its shape, and this mainly serves now as an underlayer that I wear under all of my leopard print stuff because it's like a complementary colour to my leopard print, and I do get a lot of wear out of this in the summer. It's my only cream/white item in my whole wardrobe and I love it. So again, really confused by that. 2 more categories to get through, and thankfully they are joyful ones. They're fleeces! I freaking love their fleeces! God damn! I had to, just because I love this one so much, even though I love the other one, I decided to give the other one to somebody in the Gumption Club, because that's, again, I'm not, no promises, but something that I do occasionally do is I'll just give some of my clothes to the Gumption Club if I've had something gifted to me, because I don't want to sell it, or I don't think I'm even legally allowed to sell the stuff I've been gifted. Anyway, I gave it to somebody on my Patreon, but not because there was anything wrong with it, just because I was like so wedded to this one that it just didn't seem like it made much sense to have 2 in the wardrobe. Oh man. Okay, I'll show you this baby on. Now, you might be thinking, Lena, fleeces, they're everywhere. We get it. What could possibly be new about the fleece? But I want to say that I do genuinely think that this brings something different to the fleece game. Not only do they make them in loads of really cool, fun patterns, and usually if you live in the UK and you want a fleece, you go into like Mountain Warehouse or Sports Direct or something, and they're just in like sad moss colours or like droopy browns or black. So fleeces for people with a personality is a gap in the market that they have definitely seen coming, but also the fact that they're cropped. I love all of my stuff cropped, and instead of having an elastic, it has this drawstring which makes it really size adjustable, probably very pregnancy friendly, and generally just I think the functionality of a fleece is really appealing, but the actual look of them is generally quite depressing. So the fact that they could make it in a slightly different shape in fun colours just makes me feel incredibly excited. Not only that, but unlike some other, you know that I don't pull punches when it comes to quality, unlike some of the other stuff they make, this looks like the day that I bought it. And what is really befuddling to me is that fleece is one of those fabrics that you can tell when it's old. It's kind of like toweling, like when you have a really old scratchy towel. That's what a lot of fleeces can get like. This is still as soft as when I got it, which isn't like fluffy, it's gonna molt soft, just like a normal amount of fleece softness, and it's still really bright colours, even though I'm really rubbish at washing colours together. It's incredibly worn. It's made out of 100% recycled bottles, so when you do wash it in the washing machine, you should be washing it in one of them bags, one of them guppy bags. We don't want to be shedding plastic everywhere, but I do think it's cool that it's 100% recycled. Not all of their items are that, but this is one of their items that is, and it's just like my ultimate comfort. I've only ever tried the cropped ones. I can't say anything about the rest of the fleece family, but this I would say is one of the things that I would pick up from Lucy Yak if I was to start again from scratch. And then finally, I get to show you. I think this is my favorite. I freaking love these Yackets. That's what they called them. Yackets. They are simply just boxy, oversized shirt jackets. But I think they're more than that. I originally thought that me and Craig would be able to share these jackets because I thought they would also look good on him, but actually when he tries them on, the shoulder hits him weirdly. It's very short in the arms, and it showed me all the reasons why I like this jacket and why it's cut for my kind of body, and that is unusual in the shacket industry. The arms are cut for people with my size arms. The pockets feel perfect. The buttons are really good and hardy and long wearing. I think they look really good just casually like that. I find the arm, again, another thing that annoys me when you fluctuate in weight or if you have slightly chubbier arms than fast fashion wants you to. This junction between the body of your clothes and the arm of your clothes can ruin your day. But on these Yackets, these shackets, the arm side, I think that's what it's called, so it's in the comments, let me know, the arm side this gap starts way lower. So if you gain weight in your arms, you're not gonna notice it when you're wearing your shacket. It's very forgiving. Also the corduroy on these, I don't see any wearing on the corduroy, even though I'm constantly using them and like I sit like this all the time. I don't see any wearing on the elbows. And these are probably one of the hardest like workhorse workers in my wardrobe. You will definitely hands down have seen these on my channel if you are a regular watcher. The sizes, again, are very forgiving. You just saw me in a medium and here is me in a large. Still get the same style with just a little bit more room. I kind of wish I'd got dungarees in this color of corduroy because I really, really like it. I don't know what it is, but also they've been cut so that the neck doesn't cut into you. It's quite a wide berth for the neck, so you can do it right up to the top if you want a different kind of look. I think this looks a little bit more, I don't want to say formal, because I'm not delusional. I know that I don't look formal right now, but I would say intentional. It makes it look more intentional. Anyway, I love both of these corduroy ones. They're a great, easy thing to style with other more statement pieces. But let me show you the pièce de résistance. Here she is, my favorite Lucy shacket. Whatever it's called. When did I wear this? Do you remember that really long video essay I did about how much I hate King Charles? I wore it in that. And I wore it with, it goes really great, fashion styling tip here, it goes really great with a paper tourist mask of your locally unelected overlord on the top. Don't say I never give you style tips. Adore this jacket, had it for at least 3 years. Again, it looks as good as the day I got it. It has all the same delightful fitting pluses that the other shackets do. And honestly, this whole fiasco was worth it to me just to get this in my possession. So happy with it. Would love the matching everything with this. I kind of didn't want to overconsume. I don't think I ever used my whole budget that they gave me on Lucy Yak because I didn't want to overconsume. I only wanted to get stuff that I genuinely would wear. But I do regret being so moral because I wish I just got everything they make in this print because I love this print. I just think they're really well made. The quality is really, really good. And I wish I could have said that for every category in this video, but we have to be grateful for what we have. However, one more jacket to show you. Now, this jacket is really about the print, isn't it? The cut is very normal. The cut isn't anything special. It's just a normal denim jacket cut. I wouldn't write home about the cut. I would write home about the print. I think it's really freaking cool, really vibrant. There isn't anything particularly special about the way it's designed that makes it comfortable, but this is a very classic design, so it is inherently comfortable. I am gonna get salty about the lack of color on the underside of this fabric. I think it just cheapens the whole look when you roll your sleeves up, which everyone does. So that is the only thing that I would change about this jacket, but I do love it. And I would say if you are going to buy bright colors in Lucy Yak, which is incredibly tempting because I know that those of us who have personalities and would like to wear their personalities, it's so exciting when people like sell bright colors. But I would say that if you're going to spend your money on bright colors, I would spend it on things that don't touch your most sweaty parts because then you don't have to wash them as often. So for example, these dungarees had to be washed a zillion times because of it touches my crotch. So I need to wash them a lot. Whereas the jackets, I probably wash this jacket like maybe once or twice ever, if that. And that's one of the reasons I think it's a good investment if you're buying something bright because it's not gonna lose its va-va-voom as easily just by the function of it in your life. I do have one more item to show you, but I need you to show me some grace. I have this skirt that they sent me, which matches. Wouldn't that be amazing? Doesn't it look so cool? Apart from, it has never fit me. It is really genuinely too small. It's the same size as my original pair of denim overalls. It's the same size, but this didn't fit over my belly and this did. And I think that probably is a bit of an annoying sizing flaw from them, but I never sent it back just because I think there was a toxic part of me that was like, maybe it will fit in a few weeks. And part of me was just like, I knew that it was sold out in the larger sizes, so I wouldn't be able to get it again, and I just loved it so much. So I have a suggestion for you. I do actually have 2 ideas of how to make this fit me. Would you like me to do a video or a short showing you how I make this skirt fit me, even though, let's just do a demo right now, shall we? Even though this is how it's fitting right now. I've got a vision, but the question is, do you trust my vision? That was a lot of trying on and a lot of opinions. I hope you're happy. We arrive where we were at the beginning, but I think we can agree we're all changed somehow by that experience. So let me not keep you too long. I'll just give you my final thoughts according to my notes. Lucy and Yak have a good rating on Good On You, which is one of the independent websites that assesses how much people are lying about their greenwashing. And it's incredibly hard to get a good, and they have a good. And I think that's good. Good for them. It's one of the reasons that I worked with them for so long. It's one of the reasons that I was a customer for so long. And I know that that is a hard thing to do. So I'm very excited about that. I also have loved in the past how size inclusive they are, how many sizes, not only when it comes to the bigger clothing sizes, but also the smaller ones, the petite ones, catering for short people. Again, not something that every brand bothers to do, but also in their marketing. They have always employed models with lots of different gender identities and racial identities and sizes and types of body, not only curvier models who are still hourglass, but people that put on weight in various different ways. I like for a little bit that they tried to make the clothes in the UK, although they gave up on that and I'm not really sure why, but I did enjoy that they did that for a little bit. And I know that they have well documented their founding of their factory outside of the UK. And I know that they built some of those factories themselves to make sure that they could audit them effectively and are like good friends with the people that run them. And it's like, it seems incredibly wholesome from a manufacturing perspective. Oh yeah, another thing that I do like about them, they also do a re-yak system where you can return stuff to the shop and they will sell it on in their real life stores. That is secondhand. However, kind of shot themselves in the foot, because what I have noticed when I've gone into physical brick and mortar Lucy and Yak shops is that if you go to the re-yak rail, the secondhand rail, you can really start to assess which items are quality and which ones aren't. So I would advise, if you are shopping in person, to go to that rail, to have a little snoop, to see the state of the clothes and like which ones are actually still looking okay and which ones genuinely have seen better days, because there is stuff on those rails sometimes that I'm like, oh, that is a bold move to put that out on the shop floor. So I think that's actually a really great way of you personally being able to assess whether an item is worth it or not for you, by seeing the state of it. Same on Vinted. Like if you look on eBay or Vinted and you can you look through the same item loads of times, you can kind of see how things wear by snooping on the pictures that people who are in the secondhand market have put up. Downsides. I don't think the quality is consistent. The quality is there sometimes, but it's not consistent. So as a customer and as a creator, I no longer felt like I could advocate for the whole brand just for specific products. And I think it's really important when we're trying to ease people off fast fashion. It's a very tentative relationship. Like people might only be trying their first new non-fast fashion purchase. And if it's a bad one and they've paid twice as much as they did for the high street exploitative one, that is enough to put them off and push them back into the H&M sphere. So I don't appreciate that, and I don't think that that is a good, I think that could actually seriously harm the sustainable market as much as it could help it. The second thing, and why Lucy and Yak might be top of your mind right now, is that you might have seen circulating on social media the news that they have cut some of their largest sizes recently, which, while I'm still grateful that they offer a large size range more than most other brands, and that is worth recognizing, it annoys me that they have stopped doing their larger sizes because they've done it very quietly, and they've done it in, I think, a little bit of a dishonest way. They've announced it by saying that they're just cutting the inventory for the bigger sizes because they're not selling well, but actually just not ever stocking those sizes even when they're launching new items. But also because they have built their brand and their customer loyalty. And like one of the reasons I put my personality, my name, because it is my name, my name next to their name on things, was because that's one of the things that made me proud to work with them and trust them and want to advocate for them. So for them to backstep on that, maybe because of the pressure of outside funding and expanding too far with investors, and that's all speculation. I have no idea why that's happened, but I imagine that there's probably some pressure from outside. They probably let the vampire over the door, and once you've let the vampire in, you kind of can't get the vampire out again. I don't know why they've stopped being as size inclusive, but I am inherently pissed about it. And while it's not something that I would like to actively punish them about or completely cancel them online for, it makes me not want to shop with them or be associated with them. And I think that should be enough. I think it's enough that things should make you sad and therefore not want to buy from them, even if you are a straight size. And even if I can still buy their clothing, but now I don't really want to, because I'm pissed on behalf of the people who can't buy their clothing now. And I'm also pissed from a marketing perspective that that was one of their claimed building blocks. I don't think the hedge fund people and the capitalists like who fund bigger expansions of small brands factor in the pissed factor of like people who are straight sizes not wanting to buy because of that. Like the larger sizes aren't just there for the people in the larger bodies, whether they are selling well or not, or like they're not selling in the quantities that you'd like them to. They're also there because actions like that incentivize the people who are straight sized to shop with you. If you were an incredibly skeptical, evil business bankrolling person who ran a company like Lucy Yak, it would still make financial sense for you to stock the bigger sizes if you understood that the people in the straight sizes will stop shopping with you if you stop shopping the larger sizes. I just think that's really obvious. Do you need a business degree to... Anyway, I also noticed towards the end of working with them, one of the things that made me think, this is making me feel uncomfortable now, is how often they were sending marketing emails doing 3 for 2s. Not like just 10% off or like free shipping, which all understandable, like normal amounts of like marketing incentives if you're trying to survive in a capitalist hellscape. I completely understand those tactics. I don't think those kind of like thank yous to customers or incentives to shop at a certain time of year are inherently bad. But offering 3 for 2 on bum bags in the middle of summer, like not anywhere near a gifting holiday when you might buy 3 bum bags for other people, I just think that's irresponsible. I think that the way you discount can also make you sustainable or wasteful, and the bulk discounting, incentivizing you to buy larger scales of things rather than giving you money off a single unit, again, seems incredibly basic to me from the outside. And whilst I know maybe my job looks a little silly to the outside, I did have like more serious business jobs before this one. At one point I was even a business development manager at a large company, and I wasn't even that good at it. And I can tell that this was like this doesn't track a customer identity with a customer journey. You have to match those things up. And the customer identity is somebody who doesn't want to overconsume. And then you've pushed them through a customer journey that is about there are other ways to get people's money. Anyway, other little things I noticed, like they used to send all of their clothes in recycled fabric sari bags that I reused. I've still got loads of them upstairs. I reuse them all the time for presents and gifts and to keep things around. There's even one literally in my eyesight right now. This is one of the bags that they'd sent me. I use it for my knitting projects. They stopped doing that recently and they started sending everything in plastic bags. Again, why? If you could do it on a small scale, why can't you do it on a big scale? You're making more money. And I know that they're making more money because they advertise on their website that since 2023, when they did the Re-Yak program, where they're reselling stuff, they've re-yacked / saved 38,000 items from landfill. 38,000 items from landfill. So if that's just in 2 years, that's the amount of stuff that people have brought back to the shop. Like, so all of your customer base, there's only a very few people that will actually live near a shop and be like organized and aware and incentivized enough to bring stuff back to the shop. Like that's probably a really small percentage of your customer base. If you've done that 38,000 times in the last 2 years, you are no longer a small business. Good for you. But also you can probably afford not to wrap everything in plastic and line your pockets properly, you know? This is incredibly cathartic for me. Thank you for letting me rant for this long. They've also seemed to stop. As I was researching this video, I realized that a lot of their most unique, most popular items, the ones that built their brand, the ones people love them for, they've kind of just stopped making them. Like I can't find the Yackets on their new website. I can't find the Eastern dungarees on their website. I can find the Addison jeans, but only in a couple of like really boring colors. It's very weird. So in fact, a lot of this, if you saw something in this video that you really want, you need to go on Vinted because a lot of it you can't buy from them anymore. So even the stuff that I'm praising and I'm like, yeah, you should get this, it's genuinely worth it, I don't actually know if you can. And I think that is part of building a sustainable brand is, yeah, of course, change the patterns, change the colors. But if you're going to not be pushing people to shop and stock up really fast because they think something is going to be gone forever, then you need to keep things in stock for a long time so that people don't feel the pressure, so that people can think about an item and then get it in a couple of months once they've really thought about it and tried it out in their minds and like researched it and seen reviews. If you don't leave something up to be available for a long amount of time, there's not enough time for people to leave reviews as to whether it's good or bad or not. So if you're genuinely making good products, it would be better for you to keep stocking your normal main meal items so that people can review it and it can garner this cult following and this respect in the review world of Google and influencers and social media. But if you're not proud of the items and you know they're kind of shit, you don't want to leave them available for a long time because they're going to get reviews probably like the one I've just done. And you're also not going to want to give your influencers who you work with long enough to try the items before they have to advertise them, which is again one of the reasons that I only very, very rarely work with brands, because the timelines themselves are unsustainable. I think that actually is a video in itself. We simply don't have time. My catchphrase. So anyway, that concludes my list. There's no back pocket on these jeans. This is what happens when you try on like 8 pairs of jeans at once. You forget which pair you're wearing and you forget where the pockets are. Oh wait, there's no pocket here either because it freaking broke and I had to tie it up. Okay. I hope that you enjoyed this video and my insanely thorough review of everything I own from Lucy Yak, which is honestly too much. In fact, I'm gonna sell some of this on Vinted. I feel really honoured to have got to try it, and I think that I've only got stuff that I thought I would genuinely wear, and most of it I have. It's just that I thought the wear would last longer than it did. Oh wait, I forgot about this top. No, I'm too tired. This is a Lucy Yak top. It's very good. It's lasted me a long time. The colours have faded a bit, but that's probably me washing it with dark colours. I don't mind the long tops. They're no different from other long tops from other brands, quality-wise, so I neither enthusiastically recommend them or warn you off them. They're just tops. I hope I've been as fair as possible in this review, and I have really tried to not hold back on my enthusiasm when I have loved something, and I've also wanted to bring my enthusiastic disappointment when something hasn't worked, because honestly, we genuinely don't have time for shit sustainable brands, and Lucy Yak is becoming a little shit. And I'm really sad about that because they were really great, and from a marketing perspective as a movement, I don't think it's good for something that says it's sustainable to have fast fashion quality, or at least inconsistent quality in its range, because I think it gives a bad rep to all the other sustainable brands, and it can put people off investing more money in items in order to pay people more fairly for the work that they do. They're never going to talk to me again, are they? I think I'm okay. I've made peace with it. I still feel joy when I wear the items that I love that I have from Lucy Yak, and I have found ways to fix and repurpose the stuff that doesn't work for me. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was a bit of a monster one. I hope that even if it wasn't useful to you, because you're not planning to buy Lucy Yak, that it was at least entertaining and you enjoyed watching me try things on. If you're interested in me doing more brand reviews like this, I would be so happy to. I actually have a really great time being a little nitpicky and nerdy about brands and what they're doing well and what they're not. As I said at the beginning, I am in an incredibly unique position in that I make videos on the internet, but my income doesn't come majority from sponsorships. I can keep the lights on and the heating on because of my supporters on Patreon, and because of that, I can say whatever the frick I want about these brands, and I'm happy to pass on the knowledge, happy to make sure that you don't waste your money and you get items that can genuinely stay in your wardrobe for a very reasonable, happy amount of time, and you can have long friendships with your clothes. So support your local creator, whoever that may be. If that happens to be me today, we'd be so happy to have you in the Gumption Club. I offer free podcasts, we've got a Discord, we've got monthly playlists, we've got read-alongs, we've got all sorts. So I'll leave the links on how to join if you're interested in that below. If for some reason in the future you're watching this video and you think Lucy Yak's quality has gone back up, please let me know, because I would happily try it again and re-review, because I would love to see this brand come back from whatever investment shit show has been going on behind the scenes and influencing how they've been living their lives, because I don't think it's how the brand started, and I really hope it's not how the brand ends. I'm gonna put on my second skin, aka my favorite Lucy Yak fleece, to go and have a nice tea, and I will see you in my next one. Frog Snog out.